So there's a lot of stuff behind the Boys in the Hood movie, including first with Ice Cube almost not being picked to play the part as Doughboy in the movie. Ice Cube, just like everybody else involved with the movie and heard about the movie before it actually was made, nobody could really believe that a 22-year-old kid fresh out of film school at USC would actually have the ability to not just put the movie together but also direct the movie. Russell Simmons recalls that he was supposed to be involved with making the movie, but when he was approached about doing Boys in the Hood, he wanted to see John Singleton behind the camera a little bit more before he actually got on board to try to make this movie. Because he was just young. Everybody wanted to see what he could actually do. You know what I mean? Russell Simmons wanted him to make a few music videos first to try to kind of get a vibe of how John Singleton would be, how he would perform as a director. And Russell Simmons says he feels like he was unfairly shafted from being involved because he said the minute he said he was going to be involved, but he just wanted to see more. He said after that is when Columbia came in and took over and went into contract and pretty much strong armed the movie from him. Not that he was the only person that was going to be making it, but once they got involved, they locked him out of it. So Ice Cube went to do the audition. The first time he went and did it, he totally just messed it all up. He didn't even read the script. He went in there thinking it was a joke. When he first got a call from his agent, his manager, he said, somebody wants to put you in that movie. And Ice Cube, because at that time, you got to remember, gangster rappers and rappers in general being in movies was like, this is starting to be a brand new thing. I'm not going to say he was the very first rapper in a movie. I think New Jack City I'm not sure if New Jack City came out around that time or before or after that, but it was still a brand new thing. So when somebody approached him about it, he wasn't taking it too serious. So he went to do the first audition, totally bombed the audition, left, and then after he talked to John Singleton again, he said, look, read the script. I want you in this movie because Doughboy was actually a character from John Singleton's real life, his childhood friend, who was called Fatback. So that's where Doughboy came from. And he said his real life friend called Fatback was really the only kid out of his whole crew that was really gang affiliated and really a gangster growing up. But John Singleton wasn't really. He didn't go down those paths. His father, he said, his character, Furious Styles' character, was really inspired by John Singleton's real father in real life, who was a tough guy, but was a stand-up citizen. He wasn't a gangbanger or a criminal or anything like that. So that's where the Doughboy character came from, John Singleton's friend growing up. So the second time after Ice Cube really realized that it was serious and this movie was really going to be made, he read the script, went in there and did the audition. And then when he went back and did it the second time, everybody just knew it was going to be something special. John Singleton said that this is the moment that a star was born, when he seen Ice Cube go in there and do the audition the real way the second time after reading the script. And there's a scene when after Ricky gets shot, Ricky, who's played by Morris Chestnut, he gets shot on the street and they carry him back to his mom's house and take him into the living room. And that's like one of the most powerful scenes ever in film history. Even Steven Spielberg told John Singleton that this scene was one of the most powerful scenes he had ever seen in film and ever in his whole entire life. But a lot of people don't know that Boyz n the Hood was partly inspired by the movie Stand By Me. Because John Singleton's favorite movie of all time is Stand By Me. If you don't know what Stand By Me is, it's a movie about a group of kids going out, seeking adventure, seeking kind of like a coming of manhood type of movie. They're going out into a world where they're on their own, traveling around, just taking what they have, trying to just explore the world, I guess you could say. But on the movie, they end up finding a dead body in the movie. And that was a big part of the movie Stand By Me. So in the beginning of Boyz n the Hood, that was paying homage to Stand By Me when they found the dead body. The young kids found the dead body in the beginning of the movie. There was also a part when they talked about the revenge shooting of the guys that killed Ricky, Doughboy's brother, was actually shot across the street from the jungle. Shot across the street from the jungle, and then you had Bone Sloan, who I'm sure you heard about probably throughout the years, was involved in everything from since back then to the Compton, Straight Outta Compton movie. He was the guy that was with the guy that Suge Knight ran over, Terry Carter. He was with Bone Sloan, and Bone came and approached the set of the movie and said, "Look, we may have a problem because it looks like you guys are dissing Bloods with the way this is playing out." Because if you remember in the movie, Doughboy had on blue. He usually had like dark colors, and on that scene he had a blue Detroit Tigers hat on, and the guys that killed Ricky had red on. The one guy had a red and black Bulls hat, and the car they pulled up in was a red Hyundai. So from the outside looking in, people that aren't affiliated with that lifestyle or know about the West Coast lifestyle, it just looks regular. Like I remember seeing that, I didn't think too much of it at the time. But then when I got older and then learned about the Bloods and the Crips and stuff like that, if you watch the movie, you could see how it can be mistaken that this can be taken as being a Crip Blood type of thing. Doughboy and them being from a Crip neighborhood, and these guys that came and killed Ricky were from a Blood neighborhood. You can definitely make that assumption by looking at it after knowing what you know now about Crips and Bloods. But John Singleton and the set and the crew all said that it was nothing to do with being gang affiliated in any kind of way or nothing like that. It was just a coincidence that these guys had a red car and were wearing red, and Doughboy and them had on blue. He had a blue Tigers hat on. So Bone Sloan said that it would be wiser them to relocate the scene or do something different about it, because he said he can stop people that he knows from doing something, but he can't stop a 14-year-old kid who may take offense to it and walk up with a 9mm and decide to just shoot the area up, or shoot, specifically he said decide to go shoot Ice Cube in the back of the head, is what he said. So, but they ended up shooting the scene right across from the jungle anyway, at the burger stand where they did the revenge killing of Ricky's shooters, and they said everything was pretty much went smooth with it. There was also a situation where a real gang member threatened to go down and shoot up the entire cast and crew and the whole set, and they said right after that happened, he made that threat and then he left, and after that was when they shot the scene when they was at the like hanging out. It might have been a drive-in or maybe just on like Crenshaw Boulevard Avenue, somewhere, wherever they was at, out on the just hanging out, and all of a sudden the one guy with the red Scully on with the Jerry curl puts the gun in the air, the Uzi or the Mac, and just starts shooting a bunch of bullets off. And they said they all felt like they thought that was actually the real gang member that came back and really shot up the set. So everybody, the way they ran off and left the scene like that, it seemed so real because a lot of them believed that was this guy actually coming back and shooting when they did that scene. John Singleton also reveals that he had to pay Eazy-E $50,000 to use the name BoyzNTheHood, because apparently Eazy-E had it trademarked. If you remember the song from NWA with Eazy-E, BoyzNTheHood, I think Ice Cube actually wrote the lyrics to that song, if I ain't mistaken. But he had to pay Eazy-E $50,000 to use that name, and I'm not sure if the actual whole phrase is copyrighted, or maybe because the way it's written with the N being just N instead of IN, or whatever the case may be. But that's a fact. John Singleton said he had to pay $50,000 to use that name. And one of the reasons why BoyzNTheHood was able to be made the way it was and be so dramatic and just capturing was the fact that the studios, big time studios, didn't really take the movie serious. Because usually when you have a serious movie going on and they take it serious, they think it's really something significant, they will come in with a lot of notes and a lot of altercations and things you have to do to the movie to fit their standards and their likings before you actually put it out and show it to the world. And this happens with almost every movie. They come in with notes and make them change certain stuff that may not be politically correct or go along with the agenda or plans of what they want to be reflected to be seen as by the public. But on this movie, since it was looked at as such a nothing movie, like they're pretty much disregarded it as just a small time movie that wasn't going to really do much, they pretty much ignored all the extra stuff that they usually do and allowed them to pretty much do whatever they wanted on the set. And that's where the actual authenticity comes in from BoyzNTheHood, and it looks like it's really some hood stuff that's made actually in the hood. And even a lot of the characters, like the guy that's in the wheelchair, he showed up on the set really in the wheelchair, and he was shot in his legs for real. So they decided to use him for that part because he was actually the part. The guy in the wheelchair that was hanging out with Doughboy and them. The other guy that was sucking on the pacifier a lot through the movie, he was a local kid from the neighborhood from around the area. And that's why they was able. That's why the movie portrayed what we see so vividly and so accurately as being from the hood. Because for people like me from the East Coast, Boys in the Hood was like pretty much our first. I mean, besides NWA was out before that and stuff like that, but it wasn't a movie that really displayed and portrayed the actual West Coast lifestyle seen like on a big screen, like with a lot of different things going on. But the movie was so powerful when it came out, it changed everything that came after it pretty much. There were the other kind of hood movies before that, but nothing was like Boys in the Hood. That was the first time that you seen certain things like that on on film, TV, film, or otherwise. So when that came out, that pretty much caused a shift in what making movies was about, especially for people from the inner cities. Then a guy like John Singleton, being only 22, 23 years old at the time, that was very monumental to have the vision to be able to put something like that together. But he did pull it off, and everything worked out, and he made it happen.